I'm going to call the meeting to order and start with the agenda. Is there any public comments?
Hi, my name is Lori Mulhern. I'm a resident of Bennington, and I came here tonight to ask 3 questions. One of them, I saw that someone on the consent agenda that I believe is a nom for a position, their information is not attached to the meeting agenda, so I just wanted to ask if it's a Tronson, I think. That is the name of that one. I didn't look at the others to verify whether or not those were there, but I happened to notice that one. Another question I had was in regards to, I have a question for the chair, if you wouldn't mind. If the chair or board members receive, issues about talking out in the community and somebody, the board members suggest that they perhaps bring it to whatever policy committee or the SVSU or the MAU boards, is there a protocol for that? Like, is it the same across this board as it is for the other boards? Like if somebody approached you out in the supermarket and things like that, and you don't take it to the board for them, or if you do, you take it to the whole committee, but you don't act on it, correct?
No, I can't act on it. As a single board member, you can't act on it anyways. Right. And I just didn't know if it was a board chair, if they could sort of advocate instead of having that individual come to the committee or board. I would recommend, if somebody came to me like that in the supermarket, is for them to write a letter to the board.
Okay.
Is what I would recommend.
All right. And also one last question was on the warrants. There was just one question. I don't know what it means, but that's why I'm asking. It was on there's something, and I'm sorry, I forgot to pull up the page number, about an agreement with the state of Vermont for unclaimed funds, and I just didn't know what that was, and I thought I'd ask. I don't know.
May has that answer.
Okay, we'll have to come back to that answer at a later time.
Okay.
It's stale checks that never.
Why don't you say that to the microphone?
It was stale checks that we reached out to people or organizations that had a check that never cleared our bank account. Tried to reissue them a check and we never heard back from them. So after a certain amount of time, we have to turn that over to the state for unclaimed funds. So it goes up on the state website. They can go there and look for it and then claim it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that answer your questions?
Your first question, Lori, Wendy, do you have what she's on the amended agenda?
Oh, when was this revised? Because I was just looking at it like at 4 o'clock.
Revised, was it this afternoon or yesterday?
Yesterday. I could look and see when the amended agenda went out. It wasn't yesterday, it was sometime today that it went out. Because we're literally hiring people, doing interviews even yesterday and today, so.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's been several amended agendas that have gone out this week as they try to keep up with it. Okay. Any more public comments? None heard. I'm going to move on. There are no presentations today.
It was, Mr. Chair, the amended agenda went out at 4:05 yesterday.
4:05 yesterday is when it went out? Okay.
Point of order.
Yes.
Why is this being called a special meeting?
Was it called a special meeting?
The amended agenda.
That's what I saw on the
Yeah, this is a regular meeting.
I thought. Okay, so it's not being called a special meeting?
No.
Then I think my point from last meeting about the amendments needing to be approved by the board to be part of this agenda still holds, because we haven't had 48 hours notice on it, warning.
It said 4:05 yesterday.
Yeah, so that's only
So
24 hours.
So with that point of order, are you making the motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Yes, I will make that motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed or nays? Okay, then we'll move on to review legal service bids. Has everybody seen the bids? I have copies here if you want.
I didn't see them.
Some down that side. More. Pass some down this side.
Thank you.
When was the closing time for these to come in?
The bids were open on 8/17 at 10 a.m. As you can see by that time, and that's when they were opened.
And basically, if you look at the bid sheets you have in front of you, they're put in the order of, make sure I say this is correct. They're not. So the low bid is at the top, then I think the second low bid is actually the bottom.
That's right.
And then the middle one is the high bid. So with that said, we need to have a motion made for a company to become our.
I would make the motion, we go with low bidder.
I'll second that.
Central Page.
Just a page and question.
Okay, Sitchell, Page, and Fletcher, PC. Is there any discussion on this? Unheard, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Abstentions? Okay.
So 3 years, right?
Balance of this year and then 2 years after that, so not quite 3 years.
And you'll notify them if they want to bid? Thank you. Okay.
I imagine we'll have a contract after that you'll have to sign.
Okay, financial operations related, treasurer's report. We need to accept the report.
Make a motion, we accept.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 B, consideration of petition to modify VHI bylaws. Action required. We need a motion.
So move. Second it.
Okay, discussion? No discussion?
What's the, I have not seen this, so what's the change in the bylaws?
You want to talk about the change? I know that one B.
NEA will have only one rep instead of 2 reps
On the VI board?
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a representation change, but I didn't know which.
Okay. Without any other changes in representation to like the VSBA and so forth? Okay.
They thought that it was skewed a little bit because there was 5 members and 2 are from the NEA.
Okay.
And but they can convince one other one. It's tough.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nays? So carried.
I'm abstaining.
You're abstaining, one
Yes.
abstention.
I don't have employees.
C, proposal for teacher leader for literacy. Action requested on that one also.
I'll make a motion, we accept it.
Second it.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Abstentions? Got one nay?
No, I was late.
Oh, you-
I'm saying aye.
Aye, okay.
I'm abstaining.
One abstention. Okay, moving on. Donation protocol.
You have that in your packet, and Laura Boudreau is here to speak to that first. If you have any questions, or Laura, you have a statement you want to make on that first?
Oh,
I have the same problem.
Make them really short. So you have the 2 documents in your packet, and we have a good portion of our schools have worked this past year
to create a social, emotional, and behavior Tier 1 support curriculum for our teachers. And so we're actually really excited to roll this out. It was a year-long professional development plan last year. And part of the research behind supporting students in Good First Instruction is to provide them with reinforcers, which is what the document described. Reinforcers could be a thing, a tangible thing, like a pencil or an eraser. They also could be something like inviting a student to have lunch with you, a time to run outside for a few minutes. And so the schools that worked together this past year realized that sometimes some of the local businesses that surround each one of our schools often donate items or help out. You know, it's just normal. It happens in our communities. Yeah. They realized, though, because a lot of our schools were working together as a district, which is really nice, they wanted to make sure we weren't double dipping our community. We want to be really respectful of our community. And so it was a suggestion that was made, if we come up with a letter that we all use, which is housed in a place where we all have access, each school has access to it, and there's also a chart, so there's a computer program that they all can see, and they all can go in to see who's asked a particular business for a donation. So we're not hitting up our community more than once. I did check with finance, and this is okay, the way it's worded with our auditor, correct? Everything's fine. They were pleased with the protocol we had come up with, but the auditor asked that it was shared with you.
Excuse me, why is a protocol different than a policy?
It's just a format or a set of directions that are consistent through all the schools that are participating in this program, so we're all doing the same thing, so we're all clear about how we're going to send out a letter. It was just a simple way of making sure we weren't like, it's just a simple check sheet that they can all see. So we're making sure we're being respectful of our community.
Leanne, does this conflict with the policy that we have?
In terms of, no.
I'm not against it, I just wanted to see.
No,
if
I totally, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
No, that's why I'm here.
Are you referring to where the sports teams and other policy where they can't, I remember we were too close to the school, but then we made it so also when they went for business or other things?
I have to look at that
That's okay.
in terms of, it's a lot in that particular policy in terms of conflict and all of those things that says we ought to be doing.
This is like part of the administrative regs.
I would say exactly that this is more an administrative reg interpreting the policy.
Okay.
Word protocol for our staff.
These are very specific directive steps that you're asking people who are soliciting donations, teachers, I suppose, for their class, or principal for their school to follow, so that you treat the person you're asking well,
Yeah.
and you thank them and they do
Yes.
something, and you make requests that follow certain guidelines.
Yeah, all of that get
I
more
don't
of
have
a
a problem with
procedure
that.
Yes.
for that, you know, and
Yes.
I just didn't, I can't think of the policy number that you want to have those
5200,
procedures. Talk.
policy number 5200.
Okay, yeah.
So would a good next step, so I'm more than happy then to take a step back and cross-reference, check in with the policy committee?
Right,
Yeah.
that would be good, because then
Okay.
you can take it and it can be posted to the web,
Yeah,
right
'cause
with
we're
that policy.
Yeah, we are trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And so that would be a great next step, so that's a great suggestion. So, okay, we'll come to the policy committee next?
Okay, and
Number,
so I guess at this point is that we're going to table this, is what I'm hearing, because we can't take action because you're going to go to the policy committee first?
Yeah.
So I'll take a motion to table.
I just gonna add
Second.
one thing. The reason that we were requesting action was that our auditor had recommended that the board just recognize the efforts that we were trying to put together, just so it was recorded.
Okay, I think that we did take action on the policy,
Okay.
if I remember correctly. So is that true, Leon, that the policy's been passed?
No, it's on tonight.
Well, the 5200 has been been passed, but
Well, that's, I'm just saying is she's gonna talk to you.
right,
about-
and so the things that she may have here, but all of them, I hate to say that what we needed to do was pull the policy piece and to take and look at those. If all of them are administrative rigs, then they would just be attached to that in terms of, these are the guidelines that are following this. I wasn't ready
I'll-
to address it that way, but.
I'm with the board can choose to do what they want. I did hear a motion to table it though until the policy committee speaks with the person, so we can make sure they
Right.
balance out.
Because all she was asking was that we recognize that they were doing work in that area. And so normally the protocol for that is that when you're having something along that line and all the entities that's affected by it, put the information together and then you bring it forward it to the policy committee to say, hey, this is what we got that we want to attach to that, and this is how it's supposed to be working and what bodies along that line. That's-
Perfect, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
So number 3 on this list, where does that letter, the list of where the letter's being sent, to whom does that go to? That goes to the finance office?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So this again was a collaborative effort of coming up with a protocol between the two offices. Again, trying to work as a team with all the schools involved to find one consistent way to do this. But I think this is a great next step.
I'm gonna call the motion to table, which they'll bring it back to us. All those people in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nays? Okay. Approval of a special education teacher?
So in your packet is the proposal for a special education teacher at MAU MS. What we've found is that we've got a growing need for another teacher in our On Point program. It's the program for emotionally disturbed students mainly. It's students who are really struggling in the general education environment and are needing more support. What we've proposed is that we trade 3 paraprofessional positions that were already budgeted for this one special education teacher position. We had some retirees and we felt like we would be better serving our students if we had a new teacher in that program rather than the 3 paraprofessionals. So I'll be glad to answer any questions about that.
Any questions?
You won't come back during the year asking for a para, and all of a sudden you need one.
I'm going to say we're not going to come back in the year asking for a para saying we need one just with the current population. If a new student came in, that situation may change because that's something that we don't have right now. But given the population that we have right now, the students that we have right now, the caseloads that we have right now, no, we will not come back and ask for another paraprofessional given the population we have right now.
And why are you trading 3 paras for 1?
That's about the money, how much it would.
Well, yeah, I know the
Yeah.
money works out, but
Yeah.
So that's
Direct student services.
Yeah, it's for direct student services. I would, if I could ask for trading 1 para for 1 teacher, I would do that. I mean, I feel like we can use paraprofessionals, but I'm trying to be very fiscally responsible. And looking at that, we did have some retirees, and we felt like if we had this teaching position, that we felt like we could cover the needs of direct services through that.
so how many ED kids is this person going to be responsible?
The program's going to have 11 students. That's up from 4.
And how many adults are there in the room with them?
Currently, there are 2 adults in that program, so we're going to be looking at shifting some services from the main building into there, so there would be 2 teachers and 2 to 3 paraprofessionals in there during different times that were needed. It's mostly going to be 2 teachers and 2 paras.
Other questions? Did you have some more, Ray?
No.
Any other questions for anyone else? I'll take a motion to move on the action. So moved.
Second.
Third.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? Nays? Got 1 abstention.
Thank you.
Consent agenda. Pleasure.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Second it.
Okay, any discussion on that?
On two of the hires that we just, I guess they were just added. The first one I see, and I don't want to mention names here, but one's come in with 28 years of experience at just about $69,000. And another one with 14 years coming in around $61,000. And, 15 people were interviewed, 11 people were interviewed. Were the qualifications of those other 14 and 10 that bad that we had to go with someone so expensive? The Tech 46 keep telling us that we gotta reduce budgets and cut back on the amount of money, and these two with health insurance and all the other packages we offer, they're gonna be over $100,000 a piece, and pushing $250,000.
I wasn't involved in the interview process. Does somebody have a
Somebody
response to
skipped
that?
out, she knew what was coming.
All I know is that we look to hire the best teachers that we can for each position, and it does average out usually, and that's why we budget for an average salary. And we have to be very careful when we say we don't want to hire somebody with experience. In fact, we can't say something specific like that.
We can put that in the back of our heads.
We always try to keep budget in mind and hire the best person we can that's qualified for that position. That keeps our budget in mind. That's always in the forefront of our thoughts, but it's also the best person in the position. As I said, we cannot specifically count out people with experience, or we could face discrimination.
I think this blows a hole in the idea that a lot of people say, well, we have a lot of teachers that leave Vermont and Bennington because we pay so little. Here we are, people with 50 years coming into our district. So it can't be that we're paying so little that they are coming with all this experience. We must be pretty satisfied with the amount of money we're paying.
What impact, if any, did you set on the budget?
I didn't get a question.
Impact on the budget from these
Did
positions?
this increase the budget in any way, or did it?
The three, I think the ones that you're referring to are the three
So-
paras for the one, and that's pretty much a wash. And the teacher that has the 28 years experience is coming at the same place the teacher that retired. So it's even.
Okay, so it's an even. That's okay. Laying it down, but we didn't go. Okay, I have a motion, I have a second. Yep.
Before we, is this a time I can state why I'm just gonna, I can't, I'm not comfortable with this. I've had questions that I tried to get answered starting in June, and in looking into things, I'm not comfortable with a lot of the nominations in special ed in the qualifications. So I'm just gonna say no.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? And I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Nays? One nay, any abstentions? Abstention. Policies. Yeah, two. Leon, I'll let you let them go down those.
These have gone through the process and been refined. Anaphylaxis is up for adoption for SVSU.
I make a motion we adopt.
Got a motion to adopt, I need a second for the first one.
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion, go ahead. You had it.
Yes, I'm curious. This anaphylaxis,
Anaphylaxis,
Yeah.
this has gone through the proper procedure?
This has gone through all of the districts and the policy committee, and it's back now for SVSU.
This has changed, not the administrative regs parts, but and I sit on the policy committee, and I don't know where this came from, because we haven't discussed it on the policy committee, this change of policy. So I'm just curious how this got here.
Change?
It's changed.
Yeah,
We haven't had a meeting.
Yes, my response is that we've took this, as long as with all the rest of them at the policy committee meeting. I don't know whether you were there or not, or whatever.
I haven't
But it
missed any.
also went to the board that you were on to review as a warrant and an adoption along that line. And so if there's something in here that you have to take exception to, policies it can always be reviewed. But right now, the information is there, it's set for everybody, and it's ready for adoption. And if you need to come back for something else, you can bring that up and bring it back to the policy committee for review.
Well,
If you think we missed something.
Has all the other boards approved this?
That's the reason it's back to SVSU. This is the process.
I just wanted to say it
Yeah.
for the air. Okay. I had the motion, I had a second. You?
Just think, I want to bring something up for that policy. You know these EpiPens that they have, well, that's what you use for this anaphylaxis. And you can see where some genius, or it was $1 to make, and they raised the price to $600, okay? So that means, and I'm pretty sure that you have to throw these away after a year if you don't use them. So that's just something to keep in mind. It's just, I don't understand why somebody's getting that greedy, but just bringing it up.
It's all about a child's life, right?
Yeah.
Hey, yes, sir.
This was talked about in 2012, and it was to go to the nurses to be revised to come back. So I'm a bit confused, but I'll just vote no, because unless there was a meeting, emergency meeting this summer.
We'll give it a chance to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any other discussion before we vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? One opposed.
Policy 5200 in terms of fundraising. And this policy, the changes that were made associated with the fundraising was because someone was actually involved and wanted to have a positive statement about different organizations having special rules in terms of having people fundraise at their particular facility and not interfere with what's going on. So that was the real change for that, and it's been around and been through to everybody. So if there's other things out there that needs to happen that we talked about earlier, we'll have to look at it for that perspective. But this is the changes that were made and what went through all of the boards, and with community input from that is back now for us to adopt.
Take a motion.
I'll make a motion, we adopt 5200 fundraising.
Need a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Superintendent's report.
Our teachers reported back to school today. They were in their buildings today. Tomorrow they report to the high school for a morning with the SVSU. The morning workshop will feature a presentation on Act 77 presented by MAU Middle School and MAU High School staff and students, highlighting our work towards shifting our educational system to align with Act 76, which is flexible pathways. And we're going to focus this time on art, music, physical education, and foreign language. We've had SVSU curriculum committees working the entire year last year to prioritize the standards and building proficiency scales as we move towards proficiency-based graduation requirements and personal learning plans to expand the use of personal learning plans in our system in each school for the get some feedback on what happened with those on the 2015-2016 school year. So that will be in the morning tomorrow, and on Friday, they'll be back in their own buildings. A couple things that I want to bring up to you concerning the hiring of personnel. There were some questions on it tonight. I want to give you the scope of what our challenges have been. So, SVSU-wide, all school districts, it's 72 openings this coming school year. 18 of those were from retirements, and that would result in 51 new hires that we needed to go out with. 20, because 21 of those positions were filled by internal transfers. My math's off a little, it's because not every position is filled yet. We were doing interviews right up to today. As you know, we introduced exit interviews as a protocol so that we can gather information. Are we having an exceptionally high turnover rate? I've heard it at many boards. I have the same questions myself. Keep in mind, somewhere in the vicinity of 650 full-time positions throughout the SVSU, so 51 openings is really what, you know, because we take away retirements, 51 that left for whatever reason, relocation, job somewhere else, leaving education. So the exit interviews are not going far enough because they're voluntary. We can't force somebody to come in and do an exit interview. And also when you have resignations this week with school starting on Wednesday, which we did experience a couple, there's certainly in all probability not going to give us an exit interview. So what I'm having HR do for me is develop a spreadsheet to put more information out on one sheet that will help us see if we can see patterns. I will tell you that special education, it appears, I don't want anecdotal information, I want data. But in a quick glance, obviously, MAU, both the middle school and high school and special education have the higher numbers of turnover. I don't have it by percentage yet to see if they're higher. I mean, obviously, they're where the bulk of your employees are too. But it's a strain on HR, it's a strain on finance, my office to fill 72 positions, and if I look back at last year, the number is really not different, and I don't have a complete report, but I'm told that it might have actually been higher last year. And you hear what I said, told that it might have been, I want data because I think it's helpful to the boards and also helpful to the community. Clearly, if we look at the SU as one educational organization, we're one of the larger employers in the area with a big economic impact. Ken mentioned salaries. That's a very good question. Where are our salaries? Is that a reason that we are frequently hearing for turnover rate? Again, I don't want anecdotal information, but it does seem that we have a trend of turnover in some of our programs that it would imply that we have people come, get their experience. This is one of the things you've all heard before. Get their experience and then move on. So I don't want to guess at that anymore, and I don't want to. I want the data, and it's a task. It's a large task to get all of that for that many people, and to get people willing to give us their reasons for why they're leaving is not always possible. But so that's really what has been an impact on my summer is interviewing, taking part in those interviews. I interviewed all new teacher hires. Internal transfers I let go because I assume I already know them. And that and getting ready for the start of school. So my opening remarks to staff will be tomorrow. And we hope focusing on the theme that I discussed. That's my report of what's been going on this summer.
Thanks. Got a question? Just along that particular line, at some period in the past, we had asked that we look at all the exit interviews and that we be proactive in looking at the number of employees that we have and the turnover rate compared to other districts as well, because it's not unusual with SVSU being as big as it is to have a lot of turnover. I mean, and just to put it in perspective to what other districts are having in terms of the number, is somebody was going to, you know, have that data out there. I don't know where it is, but I know we also tried to solicit information for those that were leaving, whether they would give an exit interview, and it's no requirement that you got to do it, but we ask that you do that along that line. So this is nothing really new. It's just that we've been trying to
With
get a
the
hold on
pace,
it.
the pace that is, the hiring's been taking place this past month, HR has been a little underwater. And, but Ed assures me that he is compiling exit interview, compiled information that he's going to report back. And I told him it needs to be sooner than rather later, but it needs to expand. We're not, I am not seeing the numbers of exit interviews that, and think of that, too. If I told you we had 51 people leave other than retire, that's a lot of exit interviews, a lot of personnel time to do that. So I think we have to look at giving other options, and this is what I discussed with HR, that there could be an online survey that goes to everyone who's leaving, as well as if they can't come in for a physical interview or not willing to come in, or we can't get them scheduled for one. So more than one way of trying to get that information on, to see whether we actually have a turnover problem or whether this is just by percentage what is expected. So.
Well, that's 7.5% if your employee number is 650. And this is people who haven't retired, they just left. Seems pretty high, but
it does to me too, but I don't, as Leon said, I don't have comparison on with other school districts, what they're experiencing and whether they actually compile that type of information, but it's not going to stop us from moving forward, and that hopefully in the future could be a report that the board gets on a regular basis, just like you get attendance reports and things like that.
Right. With respect to the opening remarks tomorrow, there will be a presentation, you said, about flexible pathways.
Yes.
Is that available to be put on our website? Because I will not be able to be there, and I'd be interested in what they're doing.
It's going to be in the auditorium. I don't know if it's being recorded, but I can check into that. I mean,
it's a number of people presenting. A number of people are presenting, so there's no one.
Yeah, from the high school and from the middle school students and teachers. Yeah.
Okay.
But if that is recorded, then I will make sure that that is on the website. But
it's not a CAT TV recording.
No, because it's the back to school teachers meeting.
Right.
Getting an indication from CAT TV that they are not recording it. I didn't think they would be. No.
Any other questions of the superintendent?
Well, maybe we can.
I was just going to say, in relation to that, is there someone within our own staff
That's what I'll, yeah.
can record it? So that
It starts at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. We're here at 28 tonight. I will see what we can do. I don't know if where our technicians are tomorrow morning.
Well,
but I will send an email right after this meeting.
It strikes me that if someone were enterprising and recorded it and edited it down to something that could be presented to this board, that would be pretty interesting. So.
Moving on
on to the chair report. I will be short. I only have one thing that I'm looking to report, and that's the superintendent's evaluation summary. That was done by the committee. And basically, I'll read it off. It's a little long, but not too long. To our community, we are pleased to present this letter of yearly review for Superintendent James Culkeen. It is first worth noting that both the committee members and James Culkeen recognize and value the concept of continuous improvement in our schools and have integrated that concept into this summary. Our comment flow are accumulation of several weeks' review of the past year. During the review time, the school board met in executive session on several occasions to reflect on and discuss Mr. James Culkeen's accomplishments, as well as challenges of the past year. Mr. Culkeen provided the board with a self-evaluation and had an open discussion on what he thought was the previous year's progress and shortcomings at these review meetings. As many of us know, there were major challenges last year that were handled in a sensitive and professional manner by board committees and through the central office, although it was difficult for our community to accept some of the resulting outcomes of that time. However, during the same time, Mr. Culkeen kept the board focused on the future and not the past happenings to make sure the district moved forward on improving our students' education choices. Some of the challenges were replacing of those critical staff that left us this year. Recent hiring of key district administrative staff shows his ability to work with key community members and garner and select quality leaders. The new financial officer, human resources, principals, to name just a few. The updating of job descriptions and work assignments for central office staff this year was another major advancement for clarifying the roles of administrators and providing education support. He noted that continued need to improve the central office structure building on the challenging work of the past year in order to provide others that rely on the central office a better understanding how it is organized. He proposed a goal to create an organizational chart for boards to review. The committee agreed with this goal. The process of the evaluation of the central office staff and administratives throughout the district is being upgraded, with a more formal approach being put in place for all staff to ensure evaluations are completed on a required schedule, informative, and provide positive feedback to those from the top down involved with the teaching of our students. The committee recognized that these achievements did not always go smoothly, but felt that they were done in a professional and ethical manner, resulting in the committee giving Mr. Culkeen high marks in those areas. He also discussed previous goals and future goals that he would like to see worked on with the board's assistance through the year. His goal for the Act 46 work last year was to arrive at a consensus plan and report back to the boards by June 30th, 2016. Since this was not accomplished, he proposed that this should remain a goal for this year. The committee agreed, although not all committee members desire the same approach to its resolution. He also felt that the SU needs to be more fully utilize technology in HR, finance, communication. The committee agreed with this need and with having it as a goal. He felt that a central safety and security plan should be put in place for every school in the district. Some members were unsure of this approach, but saw a need for schools to be more concerned with their individual security while keeping the public informed of all these changes. More work on this project is needed to better understand what the goal district should be working towards. Again, and that was to do with central safety and security of the buildings. The other goal we all agreed on was improving communications, not only with the central office, but all districts. The committee and Mr. Culkeen discussed a central public information PR person, but felt various districts need to weigh in on this also. To follow is our statement to sum up our overall evaluations of Mr. Culkeen's past year's service. The following is: we found that Mr. Culkeen maintained a professional demeanor while performing his duties in an effective and ethical manner through personnel and organizational upheaval, at times open questioning of his leadership during this past year. We recognize he did not satisfy everyone, but he continued to be responsive to concerns about improving the performance of the SVSU and districts who constitute it. We therefore recommend his continued service as superintendent to the district and the SVSU. The following people served on the committee: Nelson Brownell, Dick Franz, George Sleeman, Ray Marinock, Francis Kenny, and Angie Rowley. Again, I guess the key things is some of the goals there, the communication, and a couple of the others. And the superintendent and I have talked about this, and I'll let you make a statement on what you think might be the best approach to us reaching.
I think that we should reconvene the meeting with the team that conducted the evaluation and take those goals and put them into an action plan that we can monitor and measure progress throughout the year on. That should happen sooner rather than later so that we can spell those goals out clearly.
Okay. And in that, we would provide this list of goals and set the priorities.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe some benchmarks along where we would expect a report back.
Any comments on that? None heard. Any other business before the board?
I want to, several things. I did want you to mention that we've started back ESP contract negotiation. We met twice already. That's in the works along that line. And then I wanted to add, either for you as being the chair and maybe the superintendent, you did a nice job with the website. Frank did, and I mentioned that you got a new one up, and he's got information out there, a self-study thing, but it's still, when I started to ask around the town, the neighbor, people saying, well, it would help if I was able to get a preview of it, understand it. So I think it's honest to us to be able to do what we did last time, have an illustration here for Cat TV and do it live, talk about what's on the website.
How to walk through the website.
Along that line. I mean, it's there. If you just get on it, it's got one educational part in there to tell you everything that you want to know about the website. But everybody needs to we just want to make it much more noticeable by talking about the different things out here since it's the very beginning of the school, especially parent portal, and for other board members to know where things are and how to easily get to them.
So you're looking for a formal presentation?
Right.
Okay.
And I can help with that, or somebody else can help with that, whatever you want.
Talk to the people that put the web up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Frank is aware of
Right.
it.
Okay. Anything else, Leon?
I think that's all I got.
Ken?
A couple of things. The Vermont School Board Association is going to have the regional meeting on October 11th at the CDC, starting at 5 o'clock. You can go online at vtvsba.org and register. And they'll provide a meal at the beginning at 5 o'clock, and then they'll go into their presentation. I'm sure Act 46 and probably health insurance will be the two topics that will be covered. But again, that's October 11th, 5 o'clock, CDC. The other thing is the annual meeting at Lake Maury. That's going to be on Thursday, Friday, October 20 and 21. And that's something you can sign up with Mary Lee in the central office. Just walk in or call her on the phone or email her and just tell her you're interested, and she can enroll you in the annual meeting. And one other thing I received, superintendent received this as well. This was from Emily Simmons, who's the legal counsel for the Vermont School Board Association. And I guess she met with Laura Souls, Jeff Francis, Don Morrill, and Pietro Lynn. And what they're urging here is that we urge districts that have contracts with pre-approved private providers and cannot assure that all employees have been cleared. That means anybody that works in one of the early ed programs to provide the early ones at people's homes and so forth. You should consult with your school district's attorney regarding how to proceed. I guess they're warning people. They want making sure that people working with little kids have good background checks and things, and that no liabilities are held for local districts. So if any of us have, I know in Bennington, we have a few private, not at Division Street, but in people's homes, that they should go in there and make sure all background checks have been completed and to the satisfaction of the state before they're allowed to come on board.
Yeah, we're doing that with all our partners. All our partners have to have background checks on their employees, so I think we're processing somewhere in the range of 150, somewhere, right? It's a lot, yeah. I think the count I heard was somewhere around 153 of our partners were processing for fingerprint background checks.
But, you know,
Because of that
kids are
change in the
vulnerable.
law, yeah.
The little kids are vulnerable, you know, 3, 4-year-olds, so we want to make sure we don't have any
And
people in there take advantage of.
if I understand correctly, if they're not, if our partners can't provide that, then they're not going to be eligible for the funds to be on it.
Right. Okay. Anything else? Please. I need a motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye.